Good morning and welcome to today's episode of Scrapneek TV. Today I'm going to talk about layers in a digital scrapbook layout or the layer palette in Photoshop. And this would be fairly similar in most photo editing software that you would use. Most are going to have a layer palette. So over here on the right hand side, we have down towards the second half, this here section called layers. If you don't have it there, you can always find it by going up to the window and clicking on layers. Let's see, by unchecking it, it removed it from my board. So now, if this is what yours looks like, it's super easy to just go up, layers, and there it is. Now the layers show us what is on, like it says, every layer of this layout. If you were doing a paper layout, you would have your background paper that you'd start with, and then maybe you would have started with, maybe you wanted to put down some glitter and then stick that down, and then maybe you would have wanted to add on a little leaf sprig or something. And so each layer that gets added has its own little layer. Now, what's really nice about this is, let's pretend that I look at this and I decide, I kind of want my bunting here to be under the leaves, not on top. So very simply, I just go over to my palette, I find the one that says banner, and I move it underneath the leaves. And there you go. So it's very, very easy to manipulate that way. And then, you can move the flower over. You can also, so the little things here at the bottom, let's talk about these. So this FX one is for adding a layer style. This is adding a layer mask, and we'll get into a lot of these more, what those mean, as we go along, or in some of my other episodes. But here I want to just show you add a new group. So basically what I've done now, I've created a group. Now if I wanted this cluster to all be in a group, I would just move it up into that folder, and see how it just subtly moves it over just a little bit. So what it's saying is that all of these things you see here, not the background paper, but everything else is in this group. And I can just click the eye of the group to hide it. And if I want to see what's in the group, I just open it up and show it. Now let's say I want to get rid of the group, then I can ungroup layers. And there we go, we're back to where we were before. Now this last one here that looks like a little paper with a folded edge, this is to add a new layer. So anytime you need to add a layer, this is particularly helpful if you're going to use a brush for something. Let's pretend that I was going to add on an arrow. I would want it to have its own layer. I wouldn't want it to be stuck to something else. So I can use the brush, and then it has its own layer. So if I want to add a layer style to it, I would probably want to color it with paper, cover it with paper or whatever, move it around, but that's how you get that layer. And to delete it, you can either click on the layer and drag it down to the trash can, or you can just, if the layer is highlighted, just simply hit delete. Now, as you notice, each of these layers I've already added a drop shadow to. If I want to take off the drop shadow, for example, maybe on my glitter, maybe I don't want the subtle little shadow on there, I just go up here to my styles panel, which we'll be talking about in another one as well, and just click default or style none, and it takes it off. And it was a really subtle pattern, or subtle shadow, but you can also hide the shadow if you want to see what it looks like, either by clicking the eye there or on the effects. And this little arrow here just closes it up. So you kind of like with the group thing, it hides what effects are still applied, but it just puts them underneath there. And by clicking on the arrow, you can see what's in it. Okay, now you'll also notice in this corner, it has this little thing. It's because it has not been rasterized. And so it's hard to do a lot until you rasterize it. Anytime you bring an item in, because I use the place feature, it does that. So you just want to rasterize the layers to make it easier for different things that you might want to do. And that's it. Those are, oh, you can also lock a layer. See, it adds a little lock there. That way, other things can get moved, but the flower does not get moved because it's locked. And to unlock, you just simply click on it. And then one other thing that you can do, I'm going to move up the glitter thing for this one, is the opacity. You can lower the opacity to make it faint or strong. And that's right there. And you can also use, and we'll get more into these different drop-down menu of things you can do in another lesson, but I just want to kind of give you an idea of the main important things that you will be using and wanting to understand on the layer palette. So thank you for joining us, and I hope this was helpful.